Welcome to the Work-Life Balance Podcast. I am Kara.
And I am Maggie.
Together, we're a power real estate team with the Bajetti Partners in Nashville.
We believe that the hustle culture of today's driven entrepreneur who lives and works in Middle Tennessee
requires balance. Welcome back to Work-Life Balance. Today we have a very special guest. Erin is here in the house with us.
Hello.
Which happens to be Maggie's cousin. So thank you for joining us today, Erin.
Of course. Thanks for having me, guys.
So let's just get right into it. So you grew up in a small town in Alabama.
That's right.
Right? So tell us all about it.
So
Small farm.
if you think of like the stereotypical growing up in Alabama, that's exactly what I did. Okay, like I grew up with horses. We were on 13 acres. Like my neighbor next door had like cows and chickens and goats, and like it was so much fun. It was like the absolute perfect childhood, and it makes me want to have like a lot of land now. Like whenever I have kids, I'm like, I just want my kids to be able to run around in the dirt.
Yes. No,
That's the best childhood.
I know.
Yeah, it's freedom.
Exactly.
It's freedom. So what brought you, so here's Alabama girl. So what was going on in Alabama at that time? In high school or where are we at? Junior high?
So starting out in high school. I know
Okay.
Maggie wanted me to talk about kind of like
I know.
all of my things.
Yes, all of your things, the million things you have going on.
So basically where I am now kind of started from high school, which is insane to think about. But kind of like a decision that I made when I was 16, I feel like led me to us being right here now. Like literally. It's crazy, but I really think it is.
And you started in pageants.
Yes.
Okay.
So I got into pageants, and I actually won the title of Miss Alabama Teen USA in 2016.
Fantastic.
And it was
Oh my God.
insane.
Incredible.
But it's
yeah.
like,
I remember watching, hold on, so a sidebar really quick. I remember watching it on TV and being like, oh my God.
Did you watch it? Really?
No, we watched it on TV. Like my family got together. I know your family watched it
Yes.
there, but like
yeah, you
your
can
side.
like stream it and stuff.
Oh my
So
God.
much
Like
fun.
that's my cousin. How fun.
So it was like such like an insane thing, you know. It's like, okay, Erin, like
Yes.
literally like me growing up, I was the biggest tomboy, like literally playing in the barn, like shoveling the stalls like of my horses, like, and then to like win that, it was just out of ordinary, extremely out of ordinary.
So how did you fall into that?
So it's a crazy story actually. It's like it's all fate, right? And so I grew up watching Miss USA. I feel like a lot of girls do. And at the time, I was 16 years old. I was in chemistry. Yeah, I was in a chemistry class. And we were watching Miss USA, and the girl that was representing Alabama got first runner-up. Well, it was actually my chemistry teacher's daughter.
Oh, wow.
So very, very small town in Alabama. And it's like, okay, now we're watching this girl that's like from here, like my chemistry teacher's daughter who is like on TV, and it's like just so close to winning the crown. Like it was absolutely insane, right?
Yeah.
So I went to school the next day, and I was like, how do I do this, right? Like, and like looking at me at the time, you would be like, okay, you're crazy, like a nerdy like 16-year-old. And then she was like, okay, well actually like there is like a teen version of it if you want to. So instead of, you know, like winning the Alabama crown and going to Miss USA, you would go to Miss Teen USA.
And she knew all that because her daughter was in it.
Right.
Okay.
So immediately, like I went home to like talk to my mom, because my parents were very anti-pageant at the time. Yes, Ginger and Marv. Like it was just not like on our radar, you know. Like I grew up a ballet dancer. It was like a very tame, like I knew like my path type thing, and so it never really was introduced per se. Toddlers and tiaras was never an option.
No. But then it was like you almost felt like it was attainable because your chemistry teacher's daughter is like on TV, and you're like,
exactly.
Wait a minute, that's like close.
I know.
Like I can maybe do that.
Exactly. So
That's
it was like
very cool.
that's a great way to put it, like attainable, you know. And I was like, okay, like maybe I can do this. So my mom and I like researched it that night. We're like googling like Miss Alabama Teen USA, and like found the pageant and everything. And I basically decided like that night, like I wanted to do it, and like I wanted to win, you know, like I wanted this to be a part of my story. And so kind of did all the things. I went to like this prom dress store and looked on their clearance rack and bought a $100 dress, and I ended up going to the pageant knowing nothing about it and winning first runner-up.
Oh my gosh,
That's
girl!
the best story,
It's
though,
like
because then you have all these girls that are going out there buying like $500 dresses, and you won that shit $100 dress.
Right,
that's
literally,
how
like
you get it done.
it's about you, right?
Yeah.
Everyone
Yeah.
always says like, go out there in a paper sack, like, and if it's meant to be, it'll be. you know.
Yeah.
Very true.
So, and then after the pageant, after I got first runner-up, I was on cloud 9. I was like, oh my gosh,
I got this. Yeah, let's do this.
And then everyone's like, hey, you can be back next year. And I'm like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
Like, isn't it like a one and done thing? And they were like, no, like in pageants, like you come again and until you win. And I was like, what? Okay.
Yeah.
So I came back the next year, and this is like a funny story. I wanted a better dress for the next year, right? Because I was like, okay, now I'm first runner up. I have to come back and I want to like show up, you know? Like I have competition now, right? Yeah. And so I wanted this dress, and my dad said, okay, that dress is way too expensive. If you want it, you're going to have to pay for half of it, so you're going to have to get a job. So I got
Marv. Come on, Marv.
So at 16 years old, I got my very first job working at an indoor trampoline park, and I paid for half of my dress.
Nice.
How much was your dress?
Oh my gosh, I don't even remember now. Like 800.
Oh,
maybe.
so 100 to 800.
Right.
Yeah.
Big old step, right?
Uh-huh.
And that's when my dad was like, "Okay, you're crazy. You're
Yeah.
16. You do not need this dress."
No.
But I was like,
It was important. Yeah.
And it was
Yeah,
it was important to me. So I got a job literally for this.
And that's how it's done.
Exactly. You do it, right?
You do it.
And so, yeah, so I walked out there in my dress that I had purchased half of. And I won. So
How cool is that?
That's like kind of how that story happened. So after I won, it was like full on, like I wanted to go full on. Like Miss Teen USA was my goal. You know, it was like the major leagues, right? And so traveled the whole year, going to appearances and volunteering. We worked with companies, Sherry Hill and the USO came together to make Operation That's My Dress. We went into military towns and like schools and stuff.
Yeah. Like you do.
schools.
I remember Miss Tennessee came to my school.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
And so it was just like a whole year of like
Just traveling and
amazing
doing,
experiences.
yeah,
Did that put you
volunteering.
back in school though? Like I feel like that would have set everything back, or did you just keep going full force?
So we had actually, I was a senior in high school at this time, and we'd actually like talked to my principal like the day after I won. Like I went back to school and I was like, okay, this is something that is really big, and I want to experience everything that this has to offer me, right? And they were very like accommodating, and we like changed my schedule around to where I could like kind of like miss like half a day on Fridays if I needed to travel and stuff like that, you know, because it was like I saw this as like being part of my story, and I wanted to like it leave an impact for like not only the peers around me but like every other title holder after me.
Yeah.
And so that's exactly what we did. And my mom was like so supportive. She traveled with me to every single event.
Oh,
and
I love that.
Amazing. We were driving from like one side of the state to the next, like all within a day. It was.
Should meet her mom.
How cool is that though?
Shout out Ginger, you're the best ever.
Shout out, best momager in the world.
Momager.
Yes, Kendall Jenner part 2.
I was gonna say
Kris Jenner.
Kris Jenner ain't got nothing on that.
Nothing.
Yeah, so that kind of led me to my love of like travel, and like that kind of came from my parents, and I was kind of used to it from them. They had both grown up in the military. My mom was an Army brat, and my dad was in the military after college, and so they had both traveled. My mom's lived in Germany when she was younger, and my dad was stationed, you know, kind of all over the states, and so they kind of gave that love of travel to us, my siblings and I, and so.
And your grandfather lived in Kuwait.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep. He lived in Kuwait. We went to go visit him one year, and it was absolutely the most insane, eye-opening, amazing experience I've ever had.
Incredible.
And that's how we're related. So her grandfather, who recently passed away, Butch, and my grandmother, who recently passed away, are brother sister.
Oh, I love that.
We're connected.
Yeah.
You're connected. I know. Maggie was like, we have got to meet my cousin and do this like podcast with her because she's so incredible.
Yeah.
And like this whole idea of this work-life balance thing is like something we all struggle with, and we all are trying to figure out. And there's no like, here's the book and like figure it out. And when we were talking about it, we're like, okay, how do we do it? You know, we don't really know. We just do it.
Yeah.
And when she started talking about your story,
We're like, how the hell does she do
we
it?
need to talk to her because like
And
maybe
we're not
you
even
have
halfway done.
no, and it's like yeah. So we got the pageants going on. Then you decide maybe real estate might be a passion.
Yeah.
So then you jumped into that realm. And how did that? I mean, did that work out? Like, are we still actively doing that, or we're balancing?
Right. So basically, after kind of like the pageant days, then I went into college.
Okay.
And then I did that whole scene. That's where I met my husband.
Yes.
And my husband is why we moved to Atlanta. And so he got a job here. He sells heavy equipment, and this is like a great place for it. So we were like, I was like, oh my gosh, like Atlanta, I don't know. I'm from Alabama. I don't know about this life. But I used to come here when I modeled at Atlanta Market. So I modeled for Sherry Hill for 5 to 6 years. So I was kind of used to the city very, very slightly. You know, like I just had like a little taste. Yeah. But just familiar enough where I was like, okay, like we can make this work.
Right.
So we moved here. I moved here to January 2020, and then basically everything shut down because that was the pandemic.
2020.
Oh, 2020,
yeah.
Right? And then I was like, okay, I got to get a job now, right? Like I had just signed with a modeling agency, and all of that stopped, right? Like they're not going to cast anyone in person
So
anymore.
let's pause on that. So were you getting ready to move to Nashville? Like,
No.
What was the deal with that?
Okay, so I got signed with a modeling agency in Nashville, and basically agencies can like cover multiple areas. So I signed with them because I knew other girls that were signed there, so I kind of had a connection. I went to go meet him, and then literally not 2 weeks later, that's when everything
Shut down.
shut down.
Yeah.
So would you have stayed there? Do you think you would have moved to Nashville at that time if that would have worked out, or that guy would have connected you to somewhere in Atlanta?
He probably would have connected me here.
Okay.
Yeah, because he books jobs here.
Okay,
also.
gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. So how did you even find out about that? Was that something that, because I know your best friend lives in Nashville, so is that something that you found out through like her, or was it something on your own?
On my own. A lot of my friends that I have gained, like when I went back and competed as a miss, I met one of my best friends now, and she is signed with them in Nashville.
Okay.
But she lives in Alabama. So I was like, okay, how does that work? And you know, she like models a lot. So I was like, how does that work? So she kind of set me up with him, and then I went to go meet him, stay with my best friend that lives in Nashville, and then everything was absolutely insane after that. So that was like kind of like this like beacon of hope that I was like, okay, like this is what I want to do like long term. Like it's always been a dream of mine to like model for full time. And then the blink of an eye, like that was cut off.
Yeah. Right.
You know, like that was no longer an option.
So what's path? What's your second? Your path too? Like where are we going? Yeah.
Exactly. So then I was like, okay, like what's next on the story, right? Like everything is like, okay, like writing my story. And so then I was like, okay, I'm gonna get a 9 to 5. Like here I go. And so I started like applying to jobs. I literally looked on Indeed for
Which
like
is totally not you either.
I know,
everything's
right?
Like fallen, and not even like necessarily fallen, but just like felt right.
Right. And yes, I feel like everything's been like out of the box and like happened for a reason up until here. And so I was like, okay, like this is what I have to do now. You know, I can't just not work. And so then I got this job as an administrative assistant for a real estate company. In Atlanta.
Okay.
Yeah. So I worked with them for 8 months around that time. And then I was doing all of their closings. I was doing all of their paperwork, seeing everything that came in, everything that came out. He was also working with an investor, so I saw that side of real estate. So it really piqued my interest where, okay, I know what I'm making, but I also know what you're making as a licensed realtor.
And you see the big gap there.
Exactly, a big old gap. So I was like, how do I take myself from here to there? So that's when I was like, okay, I talked to him about getting my license. And so he let me off of work, and I went and got my license on like it was like a 10-day fast track class. And so that's what I did. And got my license. And then around the same time, I was still in the pageant world. And so I was competing at Miss Georgia USA. And that was insane. I moved to a brand new state in Georgia, and then I was like, okay, well, like, this is still my goal, you know? So, like, why don't I compete here, right? That was, like, the next step in my mind. So I competed, and I got first runner-up. And I was like...
in a whole other state that you don't even know.
Right.
Like that's like unheard of.
And so like what is the difference there? Because I mean you went from being Miss Teen Alabama to like runner up in Miss Georgia. So like what was the difference there? Did they like ask harder questions? Like what was the... It
definitely was harder. A lot of like your beliefs kind of come to fruition when like in the Miss pageant. As a teen, you can kind of be like, we call them like teeny boppers, right? It's just cute, like, okay, fun, playful. But as a Miss, like, you really have to have a platform. You have to know, like, what you want to provide, like, to your state, you know? Because, like, as a title holder, you're providing something for your state, you know? So that's when I took, like, my love for, like, health and wellness. And I was like, okay, well, I want to do this. You know, I want to teach girls how to, like, love themselves and, like, help themselves like through like their health and like start from the inside
out. I love that.
Didn't you have a page with your best friend where like y'all did only fitness stuff?
Yeah.
Which I forgot to even mention that.
I didn't know that.
A whole page.
Yeah, it had a whole page. It was so we originally called it Wellness and Wine.
Yes. Wellness and wine. Cheers.
Because it was like, we're all about like it's a balance, like. And that comes into this podcast, like about your health too. It's like you can't just eat only salad all the time, It's like that's just part of it, Like I like to follow like the 80-20 rule, It's like 80% of your food is healthy and 20% you're enjoying and having a treat, right?
Yes.
So that was like you can have both, wellness and wine. So yeah, we started that page and
How
it was
cute.
like so fun. We posted workouts and recipes and like and our fun cocktails on the weekends.
That's so fun.
The balance.
I know, right? It's all about the balance.
Yeah.
So that kind of, anyway, so that was my platform for Georgia. And to get first runner-up was absolutely insane, right? But I kind of like, I wanted to win, you go into a pageant and you have to have like the right mindset, right? So I was like, I want this. I really feel like I have something to offer, like this state. And then when it didn't happen, then I went internally and I was like, okay, what was this for, right? Because I'm a true believer of like God sends everything for a reason. So okay, what was this reason for me? So then I was like talking to this girl backstage at the pageant and found out that she was in real estate. We talked for a brief minute. And then a month later after the pageant, when I was in my introspective era.
It's like,
I love
kudos because, I mean, even getting first runner up, that's amazing. And like,
absolutely.
I remember watching on TV with my whole family and be like, oh my God, Erin! Like,
I love it.
Because, I mean, I'm sure like on your end, you're like, I didn't win, like I'm pissed off I didn't win, but like even to get first runner up, that's amazing.
It's amazing, and I had to keep telling myself because I'm very much of a like I have to be amazing at what I do, because I want to put so much effort into it, like I work so hard to do this type thing. And so anyway, so after that, a month after, I get a text from one of the girls that I met at the pageant. She was competing with me, and she says, hey, like I'm in this real estate team, and we're like these two girls who are starting a real estate team. We're going to be all females in Atlanta. Are you down? And I was like, oh, okay, maybe yes.
Are we powerful boss babes?
Right,
like, what are we doing?
Did you already have your real estate license, or was that something you're still working towards?
So I was licensed at that point.
Okay.
I got my license. I think I passed the state exam like the week after Georgia USA.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah.
A lot going
Gosh,
on.
she did.
A lot
You were
going
competing
on.
in a pageant trying to get your real estate license, and at that time, were you and Joseph already engaged?
Yes, we were already engaged at that point.
So planning a wedding too.
And yes,
Oh
it was
my God.
literally insane. And like, so in the Miss pageant, like you cannot be married during it. The rules have changed now, but that's like another story. So at the time I was like, oh my gosh, like this is a dream of mine. And Joseph, my husband, was 100% down for me. He was like, I will wait as long as you need, because it's like, I never want you to have any regrets. You
Sure.
know?
Yeah.
So that's
good
something
guy.
that I'm just like thankful for, right?
Yes.
And so that's why I competed at Georgia, and I was engaged at the time. And then after it didn't work out, I was like, okay, you know what? Let me figure out things. That's when I got in touch with my current real estate team that I'm on now. It actually worked out. I did join that team.
Oh.
And then I was like, okay, everything is happening, just in place. It's all lining up. And then that's when we planned a wedding. And then I got married last September, and Maggie caught my bouquet.
You're next,
my
sister.
God.
Next.
Reed, if you're watching this, I'm sorry. Yeah. Come on.
How
No
cute.
wink face, but
So yeah, that's how I
amazing.
kind of got started on like my current team.
yeah.
So yeah, that was kind of fate.
So like you do the marketing for your team too, right? You don't just do real estate.
Right,
So
yeah.
tell us more about that, because I mean you're also a Monster Energy girl, which we'll go into, but how do you balance everything that you're doing with also having to do marketing for them?
Right. So I kind of had to make a choice. So I got a job with Monster Energy. I'm a Monster Energy girl on the weekends. And I was like, do I want to do this, or do I want to do real estate full time?
Right.
So I had a talk with my team leader.
Yeah.
And she is absolutely amazing and kind of puts things into like long-term perspective, which I feel like everyone needs someone. Maggie, is that your someone?
I might be her someone.
And so she talked to me, and we had like a really good like heart-to-heart, and she was like, I don't think you want to get rid of your license. Like I understand that Monster Energy is something that you're doing right now, and you absolutely love it, and you
Yeah.
should, because that's a big deal. but long term, you should keep your license and you should stay in real estate because you could benefit long term from it.
100%.
For sure.
So that's what I did. I kept my license, and then she offered me a position as their marketing director, and I took it because I had done that before, for a different real estate team, and so I feel like it was a perfect fit transitioning into that role in the side of real estate again. And so now I do all of their marketing, all of their pop buys, all of their emails, literally everything like that. Closing gifts.
What does that look like for you though? Because I mean, like us as a team, we kind of tag team all of that together.
That's what I was going to ask her because if social media is such a huge platform,
massive,
huge, and Maggie's really good about running our social media, but do you find that is the number one marketing area for your real estate team? Is social media.
100%.
You need to be in front of Instagram, in front of Facebook, TikTok, whatever it might be. Is that your number one for them?
I definitely think that as a team, we definitely pride ourselves on social media first. You
Okay.
know, and then after that, it's past clients and reaching out and stuff like that. But yeah, social media is a massive part of it. And what I found is video is insane. And that's what I'm learning. It's we all have
the
to
reels.
evolve.
The reels, that's where people are really following. Because it's I'm a little bit older than you girls, so I'm still trying to I've been in the business a long time, but the way it's evolved, it was flyers to now reels, and I'm I am trying to evolve with it as well, and that's where Maggie's coming in, we're trying to evolve at the same time, and is that the path?
I definitely think it is the path.
Yeah.
And you have such a big following too. You have what, 35,000 or something on Instagram? That's insane. So,
yeah, you can thank the Monster Energy fans for that.
Monster girl.
Monster girl. So, how to segue into that? How did you even get into that period?
So, one of my friends, the same friend I was talking about earlier that I met at Miss Alabama when I competed there, she was doing that at the time. That was part of her modeling career, and I said, "How do you get involved in this?" And she told me I reached out to their model casting director, and they saw I was a fit, which I was like, okay, this is amazing, right? And so that's how I got started. Sent them, digital Polaroids of myself, and then, like I said, they liked what they saw, and they booked me for a job. And then after that, I've been working ever since.
That's amazing. So, what do you do with them? You go just on the weekends and hold the signs, talk. I saw you talking behind somebody, at a race car event, Go into that a little bit. Yeah, so basically the Monster Girls are present at every event that Monster sponsors, whether it be a music festival, sporting events, we go to all sorts of sporting events. Yeah. NASCAR, PBR, Supercross, motocross. It's so much fun. I get to travel every single weekend. I mean, it's absolutely insane. Yeah. Yeah. It's amazing. So you're getting to be meet all these cool people and you're just in it. There's a plethora of people that I've gotten to meet through this. Yeah. That's just insane. Yeah. So but that also can help you with your real estate career. Absolutely. The connections you're meeting all over the board and all over the states. Absolutely. And how fun is that? Being in a major hub as Atlanta, everyone's moving in and out. Right? Oh, true. So it's making those connections is huge long term. Yeah. Right. And you mentioned earlier that Monster's not a forever thing. That's you do it now, you're going to eventually either burn out or it's going to be over. Exactly. And then your path will go back to maybe real estate. Exactly. So you take all that networking that you've spent all these weekends and it makes it worth it, because right now you're losing weekends with your husband, right? There's a lot of sacrifice. He does a lot of golf. Yeah, and there's and there's so many sacrifices that you put you're doing absolutely to eventually maybe the bigger goal, and that can be this fantastic career, right? Selling real estate and knowing all these people you've met. Exactly. That's pretty cool. I always say that I think it's just totally manifested and meant to be. Exactly. I think that's cool. I always say that Monster and modeling it's not forever. Yeah. But it is an amazing experience while it happens. Yes. So that's why I take every opportunity, every job that I'm booked for, just take it by the horns and really go for it. Yep. And my husband's been so supportive of that, and he's my Uber driver to the airport. Aww, Joseph. Which we talked about too, when we talked about on the phone, even getting to do the podcast and everything, because you have such a busy schedule. I know. I was Maggie, a weekday. It's not a weekend. It's a Wednesday right now, by the way. Which worked out great for me as well. But
it's like Wednesday's perfect.
I mean, like, even that being said, like, you're having to focus on work as in marketing, and then your husband, and then also Monster Energy on the weekends. Like, do you have a schedule that you follow, like, week by week that makes it possible for you to even do that?
So basically on the weekends that I'm traveling, it's most, not all, but most. I get back on either Sunday or Monday, and then I take the good part of that first day back, and I just sleep. Like, literally, I'm like, okay, I have to do something that gets my mind ready for this full work week ahead of me.
Take care of yourself.
And then that very next day, I'm like, okay, I jump on the team call. You know, I'm like doing meetings. I'm talking to the girls on my team, seeing what they need from me social media wise. Like, what content can I make from you? You know, like, where can I meet you so I can help you make reels and stuff like that? What closing gifts do you need? You know, it's kind of like it's just a scale, you know?
Yeah.
So do you get with them, like, on a weekly basis and just do whatever you have to do for the weekend and everything like that, just on a specific day, so you have it ready to go?
Yeah, so we have, like, team meetings, like, every Tuesday, and then if I need to, like, meet with any of them, like, individually, then I do. But, yeah, I mean, we do a lot of texting. I'm like, girls, my phone is always open. Please text me.
Yeah. But you find, like, do you live and die by your calendar? Like, you have... Okay, so like that's like our thing as well. It's like Mondays we like get together and like boom, boom, boom. Here's our Monday through Friday, and then whatever happens on the weekends with scheduling showings or whatever. But like we literally live and die by like our calendar on what we're doing. Like, it's the only way.
I'm a big visual person. Like I will like go on like my notes app and write down every single thing that I'm like thinking in my mind. Like I do that a lot at nighttime. Like right before I go to bed, I feel like a lot of thoughts come into my mind. And I'm like, okay, I have to write that down. So I'll make my notes apps, and the next morning I'll look at the calendar. I'm like so visual. I'm like, okay, if I can like see the date, I know like I have to do this here, so that will be done then, because I'll be out of town. So I got to do it before I go out of town.
Right.
Yeah. So having to pretty much do everything ahead, like that's stressful too. Like, how do you even manage that in your head? Not necessarily just on paper, but like that's.
Well, it sounds to me like she only has 3 days to get everything done.
Done.
So you really are like Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. You're gone Friday and you're coming back Monday and you sleep half the day.
I feel like
so you're busting your ass.
Yep. I feel like
I thought my life was stressful. Your ass is busted. I feel like my life was stressful, but sister, I mean it. Cheers to you. Cheers to you. Oh my gosh. That's amazing. I'm very impressed.
I feel like it sounds crazy, but I feel like that's how I work better. Like having a time frame of like I only have this amount of time to get this done.
Yeah.
I have to do it now.
Yeah.
You know, like if I had unlimited time, I feel like I wouldn't.
You like time under pressure? Is that what they say? Like,
absolutely.
Is that what it's called?
For sure.
Something like that. Time under pressure.
Yeah. What do they say? Like diamonds are like made under pressure.
Yes.
It's true. Like that's like I feel like works with all of our businesses. You know, it's just you got to work.
I'm kind of like that too. You know, it's so funny that you say that because like like people. This is super random. But like as soon as like, oh well, they start packing for a vacation like 2 weeks ahead of time. I'm like, oh no. The night before, I am busting my ass, but I know what I'm gonna bring. I don't need 2 weeks to plan this out.
And you'll pick your best outfits.
Right. Exactly. You
like
will.
The best decisions are made.
Because by the time what I thought 2 weeks ago, those outfits have completely changed by the night before.
You've gone shopping a time or two between it. Like, no.
Yeah, exactly. Like you did today.
Yeah. So, are you guys gonna like throw kids in the mix? Like, how are you gonna do that?
Absolutely. Like my goal early on was to be a mom. Like
you're a family person.
Absolutely, family person through and through. Like my little sister is up at Penn State right now, and I'm like,
oh.
This is horrible. Can you please move back down south, please?
Oh,
yes. I just got to visit her last weekend. Like I had an off weekend, and so that was absolutely great. But
we should have her on here too. Emily is the greatest.
Talk about a balance, boy. In school, she's trying to be a doctor.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
So much going on. So like, kind of circle back. Like you guys started in dancing, like ballet dancing. I remember coming to your house as a kid, and seeing like I don't even know what they're called, like the little ballet shoes.
Point shoes.
How cute.
Point shoes, and I'm still suffering the consequences because I get ingrown toenails now. Thank you, ballet.
Oh yeah.
That's how it is. Though.
Ouch.
So is that something that you guys wanted to do as kids, and it kind of transferred into? Because in pageants, did you have to like show a talent and a skill and be able to do all of that?
So in the USA system, they do not like have a talent portion.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Thank God. Yeah. I mean, I would be like.
I would not be into that.
No.
Like, well, you would be good then if you were like a.
I was a ballet dancer. Yes, but I just I don't know.
Because I never knew if you had to like show that as a skill. Because I figured that's what you would do. Because that's amazing.
If I definitely like had to compete somewhere that I would do talent, I would do that for sure.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, but like I'd rather just not altogether.
Just go up there and say world peace.
Yes, world peace.
World peace.
World peace.
So, like, as the questions for, Miss Georgia and Miss Teen Alabama, did you have to prepare for that? Was that something that you, like, worked up to?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I was, like, reading the news every day, which is, like, kind of draining, but it just had to be done, you know? I had to form opinions on, like, strong topics, kind of find a way to be for everyone when topics are very divisive. And so that was, like, a very hard thing, you know, to like put my mind through, honestly, because it was just like studying.
Right.
But
and then you also have to like answer a question that people are like going to be kind of like, okay, she's down the line. You're not going too far each way, but like you're appeasing everybody. So
exactly.
Yeah.
I will say that like the trick, like when it comes to like those answers, is speaking your mind and being true to yourself, but also being comfortable with like knowing other people have other opinions and accepting them. And trying to win the crowd at the same time. Because at the end of the day, we want the votes.
That goes into, like, the social media. So, like, you have a lot of following on social media. So, like, how do you balance that, too? Because you're having to, like, post while focusing on all the other stuff that you're doing.
So, basically, now I think about it as least amount of time as possible.
Yeah.
That's, like, how I deal with that now.
Yeah.
Because, like, with a lot of followers comes a lot of comments and a lot of creepy people. And it's like, okay, this is my job as a Monster Energy girl. Like, they do like you to have a following. Like, the Moto fans follow you. Like, they're like an amazing group of people that like are so supportive of like quote unquote their girls, you know. But I mean, like, along comes crazy things with that also. So it's just like separating. This is social media, but it's not exactly my real life. You know, like it is a highlight reel.
For sure.
Yeah.
That was the perfect way to say that. It's a highlight reel. Because guess what? It's not reality.
Yeah.
No,
like, there is I don't always look so pretty. Like, I'm sure you look like that all the time because you're just stunning. Stunning, gorgeous.
Sure.
But, like, there's times I'm sure you want to be in your jammies, like, curled up watching a movie with your hubby and not, like, posting a selfie. Like,
traveling on a plane all the time.
Yeah.
Like, that does not look, like, picture perfect all the time for
it's
everybody.
like traveling after you got a spray tan, not the cutest.
But we talked about this with this podcast. Like at the beginning, we were super nervous and very uncomfortable talking. And like, you know, the mic, like you got a mic and you got a camera. Like, this is different.
Yeah.
And I go, babe, like, do you think we should probably like cut out some of that? No. She's like, no, I think people need the real. Like, if people see more real, one, they're less to judge because they get like, you're like a normal person. Like, it's not all prim and proper. So
it goes back to like showing like what we're doing like is very attainable.
Yes.
You know, like you just have to like kind of have like that vision in your mind and work for it.
Exactly.
So before we
love
get
it.
going, like what is one like tip that you would give other people that have a big following that needs to like balance their life?
Oh my gosh, just definitely be sure to separate it. You know, like separate it from your real life. Kind of monitor what you post. Like if I'm at a job, like there's gonna be kind of like security guys like around us, like per se, like all the people that work at Monster are gonna be taking care of us. But like if I'm just on a trip by myself, like I'm not gonna be posting exactly where I am. You know, like, if you're a girl, think about your safety. And then too, like just remember that if someone's being a troll to you, then like they're just crazy.
They're crazy. It's not you, and don't even even engage in it.
For sure. Yeah. Well, thanks so much for coming on. We really appreciate it.
Of course.
I love it. You are like the literally the perfect example of work-life balance. Like I just learned. I think it's just fantastic what you're doing, and like how you're even able to do it all.
Oh, thank you.
Like it's very admirable, babe.
Really
So keep being a boss, babe.
That's right.
Keep rocking out. Thank you for spending your afternoon with us.
Thanks for having me.
It's been so fun.
Thanks so much. We love you.
Thank you.
Don't forget to like us, tweet us.
Yes.
What else?
Like, share, comment, and post.
All the good stuff.
All the good stuff. But
All right. Till next time. We'll see you.